From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang in review. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday personally checked on the situation of Bulaqueños affected by recent typhoons as he joined different national government agencies in extending various assistance in the province of Bulacan. Data from the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRRMC, shows that the southwest monsoon enhanced by typhoons Egay and Falcon, has left most parts of the province in flood waters due to the significant amount of rain affecting around 170,482 families in over 178 villages. During the program, the President turned over various assistance from the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, including food packs and monetary support for its assistance to individuals in crisis situation, or AICS beneficiaries. The Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, with monetary support for its Tulong Panghanap Buhay sa Ating Disadvantaged Displaced Workers, or TUPAD program beneficiaries, and checks for 7 municipalities under the DOLE Integrated Livelihood Program, or DILP. The Department of Agriculture, or DA, also awarded a certificate for provisions of bags of certified rice seeds, bags of hybrid yellow corn and assorted vegetable seeds for farmer beneficiaries, and the Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, with claim stubs for beneficiaries of its Pangkabuhayan sa Pagbangon at Ginhawa program and checks for its Small Business Corporation beneficiaries.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday led the distribution of various government aid to the flood-affected towns in Pampanga Province at the Brenzi Giao Convention Center in San Fernando City. These include food packs and 10,000 pesos cash assistance from the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, intended for 1,000 beneficiaries of the Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situation, or AICS program. Likewise, the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, distributed 2.3 million pesos worth of aid to 500 beneficiaries under the Tulong Panghanap Buhay sa Ating Disadvantaged Displaced Workers, or TUPAD program. DOLE has allotted and set aside a total of 65 million pesos for its 14,000 beneficiaries and has already transferred 30 million pesos to its Pampanga Regional Office for the TUPAD program. Moreover, DOLE awarded 6.4 million pesos worth of livelihood assistance under its DOLE Integrated Livelihood Program, or DILP, to the local government units, or LGUs, of Candaba, Macabebe, Masantol, Arayat, Porac, and Santa Ana. Meanwhile, the Department of Agriculture, or DA, awarded a certificate worth over 21.6 million pesos to the province of Pampanga. This certificate includes 13,354 bags of certified seeds valued at 20.2 million pesos to 8,723 farmer beneficiaries, 186 bags of hybrid yellow corn, and 15 bags of open pollinated variety worth 1.146 million pesos to 154 farmer beneficiaries, and assorted vegetable seeds worth 230,000 pesos for 162 farmer beneficiaries.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. ordered on Monday the conduct of an extensive study on the proposed construction of an impounding system in Candaba, Pampanga province as a long-term solution to the flooding problem in the province. The establishment of a huge collection pool in Candaba was discussed during the President's meeting with Pampanga local officials to address massive flooding in central Luzon. Some local officials are opposing the planned construction, fearing its impact on people's livelihood, particularly to palay farmers. The project was proposed by former Public Works and Highways Secretary Rogelio Singson in 2013 as a solution to flooding concerns in central Luzon. Local officials said the project could affect more than 9,000 residents in Candaba, adding that the DPWH made the proposal at that time without incorporating measures to be done for families that would be affected by the project. Under Singson's proposal, the government will secure or buy around 200 hectares or 10% of the 2,000 hectare swamp land in Candaba to build a water impounding area to prevent flooding in nearby and low-lying areas. Those who will be displaced by the proposed project will be relocated to other areas that are equally productive as their current holding. The construction of a huge collection pool is one of the solutions raised during the meeting. As a short-term measure, the President also mentioned the conduct of dredging operations and elevating certain structures in San Simon, Pampanga to ease heavy traffic in flooded areas.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday assured that his administration is committed to supporting the modernization of the Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP, including the Philippine Army or PA. The President made this remark as he challenged the new Army Chief, Lieutenant General Roy Galido, to work on building an agile, adaptable, competitive, and world-class army. The Commander-in-Chief vowed to work with the new PA Commanding General to create a more conducive environment for growth by addressing threats to national security. Elevating the Army to a world-class status will test the limits of Galido's character, but with the supervision, dedication, and perseverance of the new Army Chief and the rest of the troops, President Marcos said he is confident that we can rightfully achieve this in no time at all. Let's listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. at the Philippine Army's Change of Command rites held at the Fort Andres Bonifacio in Taguig City.
It is with a good deal of pride that I preside over the Philippine Army Change of Command ceremony. We congratulate then Army Commanding General, now AFP Chief of Staff, General Romeo Browner Jr. for completing your tour of duty and developing the Army into the progressive and resilient force that it is today. Under your leadership, we have established a firm defense against insurgency and terrorism by dismantling guerrilla fronts and intensifying our peace-building efforts. Through your initiatives to fortify our internal security, the Army has contributed to the development of conflict-affected communities and our overall progress as a nation. For all these and more, I extend my utmost respect, gratitude, and admiration. I truly wish you all success in your honorable endeavor now as the Armed Forces Chief of Staff. And let me now welcome and congratulate our 66th Philippine Army Commanding General, Lieutenant General Roy M. Galido. And as you take the reins of the Army, I wish to remind you that the success of an organization depends on our willingness to work persistently with the citizenry and with the civilian government. I urge everyone to strive towards building an army that is agile, adaptable, and competitive, works well together with its partners and stakeholders, and especially our citizens. I know that the journey towards this vision will test the limits of your character. But with the supervision, dedication, and perseverance of Lieutenant General Galido and the rest of our troops in the Philippine Army, I am confident that we can rightfully achieve this in no time at all. To our incoming Commanding General of the Philippine Army, I have worked with you just for a short time, but in that little time, I have seen you flourish in your command, and I have seen the good work and the successes that have come from that good work that you have put in your previous command as a West Main Commander. I look forward to working with you further, and I am confident that you will guide the Army to reach more milestones in our country, in our campaign to end in our country the insurgency and tourism threat, as well as to address the lingering and emerging threats to now our national security. We challenge you to lead and boost your institution's engagements with its foreign counterparts. I urge the entirety of our Army to enhance your interoperability and communications, as well as to learn best practices through training and joint exercises, which we intend to further expand. I look forward to your plans to protect the shared identity that our past and present generations have built, and to transform the Army into a world-class force that is a source of our country's security and peace and pride. As your President and Commander-in-Chief, I assure you that this administration is committed to supporting you by modernizing the Army and the armed forces of the Philippines. Hand in hand, we will work together to heighten the internal and external security of the Philippines, to create a more conducive environment for the comprehensive growth and empowerment of our people.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines' rice stockpile could last even after the El Nino phenomenon next year, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has assured the public. His assurance came after he met with industry players led by the Private Sector Advisory Council, or PSAC, and the Philippine Rice Stakeholders Movement, or PRISM, at Malacañang Palace in Manila on Tuesday. The El Nino phenomenon might persist until the first quarter of 2024, the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration earlier said. The President convened the meeting to discuss with stakeholders the status of the rice industry and measures to ensure sufficient rice supply in the country, Presidential Communications Office Secretary Cheloy Garafil said. Garafil said the DA and PRISM presented to the President the rice supply outlook for the country until the end of 2023. The DA also briefed President Marcos about the country's current supply situation, factors that threaten the country's rice production and export, and the import trends and needs.
Dateline Malacañang.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is seeking a review of the possible partnership between the Philippines and the United States to strengthen the nursing industry of both countries, Malacañang said on Wednesday. In a statement, Communications Secretary Cheloy Garafil said, the President is open to the idea of forging an agreement with the U.S. to elevate the nursing profession and address the problems besetting the sector. This developed after U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth, who paid President Marcos a courtesy visit at Malacañang Palace in Manila on Tuesday, raised the possibility of sending American students to nursing schools in the Philippines. During his meeting with Duckworth, President Marcos said he wants to study the proposal before making any decision. While there is no formal agreement yet, President Marcos and Duckworth agreed that the proposal would benefit the two countries. Duckworth noted that Filipino nurses could pass the licensure examinations for nursing in the U.S. She also acknowledged that the U.S. has a lack of nursing programs, adding that the country has more nursing students than nursing educators. Duckworth said that it would be interesting to see if they can send American students to nursing schools in the Philippines because the teaching standard in the country can meet licensure in the United States.
Dateline Malacañang.
The United States Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN Business Council, the largest American business contingent, pledged to pursue more investments in the Philippines. The commitment was made when the members of the U.S. ASEAN Business Council paid a courtesy call to President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. at the President's Hall of Malacañang Palace in Manila on Wednesday. During the meeting, U.S. ASEAN Business Council President and Chief Executive Officer Ted Osius said, the members of the nonprofit organization are looking forward to deepening their engagements with the Marcos administration and creating more partnerships with the Philippine businesses. President Marcos acknowledged the Council's crucial role in the Philippine development and hoped that alliances, partnerships, and arrangements with its members would be sustained. He said the meeting with the U.S. ASEAN Business Council is significant in discussing concrete steps in upholding socio-economic cooperation, including the sectors of agriculture, clean energy, infrastructure, climate change, digital connectivity, and post-pandemic recovery.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. will participate in the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC, Economic Leaders Meeting in San Francisco, California in November this year. The President confirmed his attendance during his meeting with members of the United States Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN Business Council, at Malacañang Palace in Manila on Wednesday. This will be the second time President Marcos will attend the APEC Summit. President Marcos participated in the 29th APEC Summit in Thailand in November last year. The APEC is a regional economic forum established in 1989 to leverage the growing interdependence of the Asia-Pacific. This year, the U.S. will chair the forum, which will be held on November 14th to the 16th at the Moscow Center West in San Francisco, California. Focusing on creating economic opportunity, the APEC Summit will feature a lineup of dynamic and diverse speakers who will highlight the potential of collaboration to build a future that is centered on sustainability, inclusion, resilience, and innovation. President Marcos is among the economic leaders who are expected to speak at the summit, according to the APEC's official website.
I hope that with your support, the Philippines can avail itself of the incentives under the U.S. Inflation Reduction Act to allow us to strengthen the global supply chains of critical materials. I had promising discussions with Senator Tammy Duckworth just yesterday, actually, on this very issue. And we will continue to discuss this with the U.S. at the state level. The Philippines is actively participating in the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework and the APEC meetings leading up to the Leaders Summit in San Francisco in November. I look forward to joining fellow APEC leaders in California later this year. This will be my third trip to the U.S. since I assumed office. With energy security high in the economic agenda, we are particularly interested in sustainable land, water, and ocean solutions that align with our climate goals and support our plans to transform the Philippines into an upper middle income country by the year 2025. All efforts to increase the number of power sources lean towards clean energy. That being the case, I am interested in the potential of nuclear energy, especially in light of new technologies and innovations that allow the use of smaller scale modular nuclear reactors, other advanced reactor technologies that we see as being safer from the more efficient than the more traditional designs of nuclear power production. Leading the charge are our ongoing discussions with the United States on the 123 agreement, which will provide the legal framework for civil and nuclear-related investments, particularly in nuclear power in our country. Together with the United States and other partners, especially the private sector, we will build the necessary infrastructure to help power a growing economy as we transition to clean and renewable energy.
The APEC summit brings together 21 economies from around the Asia-Pacific to collaborate on the shared goal of creating a more open, resilient, sustainable, and peaceful future for the people of the world's most dynamic region. APEC's 21 member economies are Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, China, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Peru, the Philippines, Russia, Singapore, Taiwan, Thailand, the United States, and Vietnam.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday emphasized the importance of government support and assistance to all Filipino athletes to keep them motivated and help them excel in their future sports competitions. During the ceremonial awarding of incentives to Filipino medalists in the 32nd Southeast Asian or SEA Games and the 12th Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN Para Games, the President heaped praises on the athletes for their achievements despite the challenges they are currently facing. President Marcos said he was a little embarrassed to admit that the government failed to extend full support to the Filipino athletes, their coaches and trainers, and all the support groups. The chief executive said the Filipino athletes have proved that limitations in training are not a hindrance to showcasing their talents in international sports competitions. President Marcos added that his dream is to set a higher standard for Philippine sports to bring out the true talent of Filipino athletes.
Today, we are fortunate to welcome the latest in a long list of triumphant heroes in Philippine sports. Athletes from the Philippines have surpassed the competition and brought out the best version of themselves. becoming exemplars of sporting prowess for our nation and the rest of the world. But I think the most important thing that we demonstrate, that you demonstrated as you competed in these tournaments, in these games, was to show the strength of the Filipino spirit, the grace of the Filipino character, and the passion of the Filipino heart. And that is what comes out with the results, with what you have been able to do with admittedly limited resources. I am always a little embarrassed when I see that we are not supporting our athletes and our coaches and our trainers and all the support groups, even the families. So it seems that what we in government, considering the honor and the pride that you bring to the Philippines, it seems that it is not commensurate for the great service that you do to our country and to our people.
Top sports officials thanked President Marcos for his generosity that would boost the morale of the athletes as they prepare for bigger battles, the Asian Games in Hangzhou, China, from September 23rd to October 8th this year. In a news release on Wednesday, the Philippine Sports Commission, or PSC, said President Marcos was matching the nearly 50 million pesos cash incentives that all of the athletes will receive under Republic Act No. 10699. Under the law, a SEA Games individual gold medal is worth 300,000 pesos. A silver medal is worth 150,000 pesos and 60,000 pesos for the bronze, while ASEAN Para Games medalists receive half of this amount per medal. Team Philippines won 260 medals, including 58 golds, 85 silvers, and 117 bronzes from the SEA Games, and a record-breaking 117 medals comprising of 34 golds, 33 silvers, and 50 bronzes from the ASEAN Para Games. Over 900 athletes competed in the SEA Games and ASEAN Para Games in Cambodia in May and June this year.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday said that there is no existing agreement between the Philippines and China to remove BRP Sierra Madre from Ayungin Shoal. The president issued the statement after China on August 7th claimed that the Philippine government had repeatedly promised to tow away the grounded warship from the Ayungin Shoal, a feature within the Kalayaan Island Group, less than 200 nautical miles off Palawan Province. In a video message released by the Presidential Communications Office, President Marcos said that he is repealing any commitment should there be an existing agreement between the Philippines and China on the supposed removal of the BRP Sierra Madre from Ayungin Shoal.
I'm not aware of any agreement that the Philippines should remove from its own territory its own ship, the BSP Sierra Madre, from the Ayungin Shoal. And let me go further. If there does exist such an agreement, I rescind that agreement as of now.
National Security Council Assistant Director General Jonathan Malaya said there is no commitment from the Philippine government to remove BRP Sierra Madre from the Ayungin Shoal. Malaya also stressed that BRP Sierra Madre was deployed and stationed in Ayungin Shoal in 1999 to show China that the Philippines has control over it. Foreign Affairs spokesperson Maria Teresita Daza on Tuesday said Manila had decided to deploy a permanent station to China's illegal occupation of Panganiban Reef or the Mischief Reef in 1995. China on Monday renewed its call on the Philippines to remove the PRP Sierra Madre from Ayungin Shoal, saying the Philippines fails to fulfill its promise. Prior to China's demand, the Chinese Coast Guard on August 5th blocked and used water cannon against the Philippine Coast Guard or PCG's resupply mission to Ayungin Shoal. President Marcos, in a media interview on Monday, said the government would come up with a comprehensive action to respond to China's dangerous maneuvers and illegal use of water cannons against the PCG vessels in Ayungin Shoal. The chief executive also maintained that the Philippines will continue to assert its sovereignty over the West Philippine Sea, noting that Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo had already sent a note verbale to China following the latest incident in Ayungin Shoal.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday expressed his willingness to enhance bilateral cooperation between the Philippines and Zimbabwe, particularly in agriculture and education. During Zimbabwean non-resident ambassador designate to the Philippines, Constance Chemwayi's visit in Malacañang to present her credentials, the president hopes that they will find many things to explore. Diplomatic relations between the two countries were formally established on April 18, 1980. President Marcos also expressed optimism over future visits of Chemwayi, who will be based in Malaysia, to further assess the potential between the two countries and to show her the beauty of the Philippines. The envoy, in turn, is hopeful for additional knowledge that Zimbabwe can learn from the Philippines, citing that the former is now improving its agriculture and infrastructure sectors in line with the goal to become a middle-income country by 2030. The chief executive expressed readiness to help in this endeavor, noting that the Philippines is also prioritizing agriculture. He said the government is now prioritizing not only the price and supply of agricultural products, but also other inputs like fertilizer. President Marcos also underscored the importance of forging an agreement with the government of Zimbabwe to rationalize and institutionalize efforts to boost the agricultural and education sectors of both countries.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, we would like to invite everyone to come and visit our Facebook page at Radio Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang in Review. For Radio Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.